The Mandalorian's first season finished strong with Chapter 8, Redemption, directed by Taika Waititi. In the season finale, Mando, Cara Dune, and Greef Karga are aided by IG-11 to take on Moff Gideon and his army of troopers, and of course, protect the child. Let's break down some key Star Wars references from the episode that you need to know more about, including connections to the Clone Wars.
Did he just say that Gideon killed his own men?
Oh, who knows? These guys like to lay down the law when they first arrive in a town, you know how it is.
Rarely do we get to see what stormtroopers do in their off time. However, a couple of scout troopers guarding the child have a bit of free time while Moff Gideon and company have Mando pinned down. Like previous episodes, these roles are played by comedic actors. One is Adam Pally reprising his role from episode 7, and the other is Jason Sudeikis, who you probably know from Saturday Night Live. There's also a great running joke here about troopers' inability to aim. The E-Web heavy repeating blaster, which Gideon threatens our heroes with, has actually appeared in Star Wars canon before. Early on in Empire Strikes Back, a snowtrooper was setting one up during the Battle of Hoth. Moff Gideon sure knows way too much information about our heroes. He reveals that shock trooper Cara Dune, short for Cara Cynthia Dune, was originally from Alderaan. That's the planet where Leia Organa grew up on. Also, it's the first planet the Death Star blew up in A New Hope. Although actor Pedro Pascal accidentally revealed Mando's true name during an interview, Gideon officially revealed his name in episode 8, and it's Din Djarin. You'll hear that name a few more times throughout the episode. The Mandalorian series has a ton of connections to the Clone Wars animated series and the Night of a Thousand Tears, which is a reference to the Siege of Mandalore, when the Jedi came to Mandalore to dispose Darth Maul, who was alive, and better than ever, of his rule on the planet. During the siege, Order 66 took place, that moment where Palpatine decided all the Jedi needed to be killed. It was a coup in the middle of a siege on a planet that was already going through some tough times. This is also promoting the new season of the Clone Wars, as the siege has been mentioned but never shown, and Season 7 will cover this battle, which takes place at the end of the show's timeline.
I was not born on Mandalore.
But you're a Mandalorian.
Mandalorian isn't a race.
When the expanded universe was a thing, you could be a Mandalorian but not born on Mandalore. This is back in the day when Boba Fett was still considered part of the tribe. Here, the series goes back to those roots when it's explained that Mandalorian isn't a race. It is a creed. As long as you follow the code, you can be one. But again, we've alluded to the fact that before, this tribe may be a sect of Death Watch from Clone Wars, who hold tradition above anything else, which means that they may be willing to accept outsiders. This is getting deep into Clone Wars and Rebels lore, mixed with some speculation. Why do all these Mandalorians wear the same colors? As we mentioned in other Easter egg videos, armor color is very important to Mandalorians. It signifies something about that. Because these Mandos seem to be wearing blue, that means they are reliable. You probably need reliable soldiers when facing battle droids. Here's a new Stormtrooper for live action. Flame Troopers have appeared in Star Wars Battlefront as well as on the Clone Wars TV series, the Clone version. This is the first time in live action we get to see one of them though.
The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi.
If you think about Star Wars in the grand scheme of things, people not knowing what the Force is or who the Jedi are in The Mandalorian is pretty weird. Order 66 happened in Revenge of the Sith 30 years prior to the events of this episode, so Din being confused about Jedi is pretty bizarre, especially when the Vizsla house has already been established in episode 3. And one person from that house is Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi, more than 1,000 years prior to this episode. You don't just forget about one of the ruling bodies of the galaxy over the course of half of a lifetime. We've seen a lot of R2 units throughout the years, but this is the only one that we can think of that has long arms and legs. It just looks weird. The biggest moment of the season finale is easily the most confusing to average Star Wars fans. Moff Gideon gets out of his crashed TIE fighter holding what looks to be a lightsaber that's black. This is called a darksaber, and everything about this moment connects back to the Clone Wars TV series. The darksaber was created by the previously mentioned Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi, 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. After Tar's death, it was stored in a Jedi temple until someone from House Vizsla stole it and handed it down through the generations. The last time we saw it during Clone Wars, the darksaber was in the hands of Pre Vizsla as he led Death Watch. During Rebels, it popped up again in the hands of Sabine Wren, and she handed it over to Bo-Katan Kryze to fight the Empire. How Gideon got the darksaber is unknown. All we know for now is that Gideon has an artifact that is deeply rooted in Mandalorian history that belongs specifically to one of the houses. Sadly, we'll have to wait until fall 2020 for The Mandalorian Season 2. What did you think of the season finale? What do you hope to see in Season 2 of The Mandalorian? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.